But for now, here in the party capital of the world, which I think it is, not much is made of that. You hear about the great partying in Brazil, of course, and Carnival and Ibiza and Goa for clubbers. But here in Portugal, we're partying from around this time of the year through to Christmas. And I've never seen that in a tourism program, magazine, or brochure. It could be something, couldn't it?
It could be. And it's interesting because the way that Portugal approaches the partying, the festivals, the idea of just having a great time, I think is so wholesome. And I know that's like Ibiza, has a certain age demographic and a certain crowd. You've got Brazil, which is, of course, another kind of different vibe. But here in Portugal, when you go out to all of these things happening from now until Christmas, it's everybody. I mean, the elderly grandparents to the little kids and everyone in between, they're out there partying. It's in the middle of the night and they're still out there having a good time and hanging with their family. And it's a wholesome festival and very season. And I also have to say that there's a safety element, I believe. So, yeah, so it's definitely a different vibe. So coming here, I feel like they're missing a mark of not explaining, like, if you want to have that feeling and party and get involved with the community, you could do it really safely with all ages here in Portugal.
3-generation partying, sometimes 4. And it's the partying you might remember as a kid. I think, where the whole family is there, the 21st birthday, the 18th birthday, or the wedding reception. It's that kind of atmosphere, isn't it? Whole family partying, which is what happens very naturally here in Portugal. And we're going into the summer season. That's something you wanted to talk about this morning. Yeah. Preparing for summer in Portugal.
Yeah, totally. And, summer's upon us, really, because you're starting to feel the ramp up of everybody arriving and the tourists, the buses are picking up. I mean, I'm sure you in San Martino are also feeling the kind of impact. But when people are planning to come to Portugal, or even if you're already here but you haven't gone through a season yet, I think there's a couple of pieces that can trip you up if you're not prepared. One of the things that I like to make sure everyone is ready for is the varying hours of operation. There seems to be a holiday, like Monday was Leria Day in Leria.
That's right, which is part of Leria month.
Right, which is part of all the festivals. But Leria was all the businesses were closed on Monday, like the hospital, the clinics, the different professionals. So if you don't keep close tabs on all the different holidays, check calendars, check websites, it can trip you up. If you think you're going to just pop in and get some business done at a government office, or if you think you're going to do something from now through, like you said, till the holidays, there's national holidays, regional holidays, local holidays, and it can be a little tricky if you're trying to navigate that for some business purposes. So, Monday was Leria Day. Alcobaça has a day. Caldas Serena has a day, and these are not on the national calendars. And these are days where you'll just go and there's a sign in the window saying, "We're closed. It's a holiday." Yes. So that I think is, for me, for the summer, if you live here and you're not quite in the cadence of this, you want to get used to checking websites before you just assume you can go to that spot.
Okay, so the holidays within the holidays is what you're talking about. Do you have a preferred source? I'm trying to do this over at the Portugal Club. We've got a calendar on there as well, so I try and alert people to when the holidays come up, so they don't go and try and do some official business. What's your favorite source of finding out when all the various Portuguese public holidays are?
My fantastic Portuguese team that
yes, of course. Because there's nowhere online, is there? Because you won't find anywhere that's got the national and the local mixed together, will you?
That's why I suggest you go to the website before you want to do something. So if you're planning something like next week and you need to go in and make some business runs, check their websites, because more often than not, they will put a banner or an announcement if it's a major space. But checking with the locals, saying, "Hey, when is our holiday in this town that I live in?" Asking, "Hey, when do we have a holiday? Do we close anytime?" No matter how big or small your town is, there's bound to be some extra layer beyond the national holidays. And then the festivals that come in, every town, starting, as you were saying now, starts to have Saints Days and different parades and different festivals. And those will be on the local, city website. They do put most of them have like an events calendar, and that's a major holiday event. So they'll put that on there. So it doesn't just create closures for businesses. Sometimes the businesses stay open, but the roads are closed. Like you can't get into the center, or they've got parade routes and things like that. So as you're planning your summer travel, it's really important to just take an extra moment and go in and look at the cities. We went to Paseo de Regua. We were up in the Douro, and we stumbled in. We were there in the end of July, 1st of August, and we stumbled in and we couldn't drive anywhere. We couldn't do anything. And it was their big Saints Day parade. Everything was closed. Everybody had come out and, just blocked everything. And so we just kind of joined in, and we sat in a cafe and watched everybody coming and going and saw the parade. But if we would have wanted, you have to just kind of adjust. But we hadn't checked before we came in. So we were caught really by surprise. We didn't have parking. We were way away. We didn't know the timing. So if you're planning your travels for the summer across Portugal, checking the locations for local festivals is really, really important.
That's really helpful. Thank you very much. Next one coming up is the Corpus Christi next Thursday. That's a public holiday here in Portugal, so beware of that as well. Yeah, if you're visiting Alcobaça, Colleen and the team will be all over that, knowing what's open and when. What else have you got for us when it comes to preparing for summer?
Well, I think one of the things you also need to prepare for is when you get to the destination, especially the beach destinations. It seems like something that would come logically, but for a lot of folks, they never lived in a tourist area before. And so maybe we'll get caught a little flat-footed. I grew up in Oregon, on the coast in Oregon. And so it's a very similar experience to Portugal, where it's kind of quiet and pretty dead in the winter. And then in the summer, the populations would double or triple, and beaches are full and everything. And that's something you have to prepare for here in Portugal. If you are used to going to your favorite cafe, or you think that you're going to just take a stroll on the praia or do something that you've been doing in the winter, it's going to be different. So you need to take a deep breath, maybe find some areas that appeal to you, that are out of the center or the core, so that during the summer you can pace yourself and not get frustrated. Nazaré is a key point. Nazaré is so easy to get into in the winter. You slide into a parking space, you take a nice stroll on the praia, you go to whatever restaurant you feel like. Everything is great. Right now and until October-ish, depending on how the weather goes, you need to plan extra half an hour at least for parking. You're going to fight to get into restaurants. People are walking on both sides of the street, just like not paying attention. You kind of can get like walking run over if you aren't careful. And it can make you feel like it takes some of the fun out of living or visiting those areas. So the biggest thing is, if you've got guests coming in the summer, and you think you want to show them all these great places, you need to plan and allow for that time. And then now start searching out areas that are outside of the center. Case in point, Nazaré is very, very busy, but if you go up to Salgado Beach, and you go up on the ridgeline and you go just south of Nazaré, there's a beautiful beach that has a little cafe. It has bathrooms and all the things you need. And you can go there and set up and spend time on the beach and be away from the core crowds and have a lovely day without feeling like you're being run over. But if you don't find those places now, you're going to get caught a little, it's going to feel overwhelming. And I think a lot of folks don't realize the impact. And it's not Americans. It's not Americans doing this. We hear a lot of like, oh, it's the Americans. It's the Europeans. Man, they come from the country, and it's the French, it's the Belgians, it's the
Spanish.
Spanish. I mean, they come to Portugal for the inexpensive meals, for the beach long beaches that are available. So it's not going to be just, you can't think, oh, Americans just come. It's not us. It's the Europeans taking their month-long holiday, and they come to Portugal to get away from their home areas for a while.
Well said. Well said. Or you could book Antonio and he could drive you there, right? That's another way of taking the strain out of it.
Or take public transportation, but be aware that they are packed. If you're going to bring beach stuff and everything with you, you can take the bus, but they're going to be full. You're going to be kind of, jostling for space. So just keeping that in mind. The other thing is the inland cities don't have the same impact that the beaches do. So if you're looking for a restaurant and you've got your friends in town and you want to see Nazare, do Nazare early in the morning, for example. Go out before, because most of the tourists and the Portuguese don't really start hitting the beaches till around 11. So you can catch the beach in the morning. But then maybe you want a nice meal, come inland to one of the cities like Caldas da Rainha or Alcobaça, explore the monasteries. You can do that without the same impact. And if you want beach, kind of like water activities, there's river beaches. You can go farther into the mountains. It gets a lot quieter. You can go and find areas that'll give you a different experience. But if you want beach life, you need to be prepared for the crowds in the summertime.
Well said, well said. Or go late as well. That's the other thing, isn't it? If you go late to the beach, sometimes the Europeans have gone home because it's too cold for them. If you're from a colder place, you've got an extra hour, haven't you, on the beach? Compared to local people. So when I go with my daughter to swim, we know how to gauge this now, because it shifts, of course, as the days get longer. People are staying at the beach longer, but still there comes a point, and the temperature difference is very different for the Portuguese than it is for us Northern Europeans. So we'll go for a swim after they've all gone home. You know, it's like, oh, it's too cold now. They're putting on their coats in 25 degrees and going home for dinner. And we're coming down, the cars are leaving, we're driving down, we get a parking space and we go for a swim in the sea and have it to ourselves. So I like it, what you're suggesting here, to pace it or adjust it or nuance the visits in a way that avoids the crowds. The other thing on a bigger basis here, and an interesting thing that's happening, I think, in Portugal, connected to what you're saying, Colleen, is not the annual season, but how things will change over time. And I think we should enjoy these days in Portugal, because as I drive through San Martino now, I think to myself, this will be a golden time that I remember here, because it's going to get busier and busier, isn't it? Just generally, it's going to get busier. The season's going to be longer. There are going to be more people moving to the area. There's no question about that. And these are the golden times that we should enjoy, when we could park on the quay.
Yeah. Absolutely. And September is local summer. You know, a lot of the locals and a lot of us, we all know that after the second week of September, things calm down dramatically, but the weather is still fantastic. So just, plan accordingly. And if you're going out of your home area to another beach area and you're not as familiar with what's going on and maybe the hidden away places, it's great to ask. If your Airbnb host, your hotel front desk, ask a local in a cafe, hey, we're not really as crowd focused. We don't want to be, maybe we want a little quieter experience. Where would you go? And the Algarve even has quiet little coves and places you can go. Up north, there's all kinds of different beaches. So it doesn't hurt to just say, we'd love to get away and just spend a day reading on the beach and swimming, but we're not really enjoying the crowds. And more often than not, they're going to say, yes, if you drive up this road, take this dirt road and turn left and go down here, here's an area that doesn't really get busy. Portugal has such a long coastline. There are so many beaches. Possible to spread out. You don't have to stay right in the center. Cascais, for example, if you go to Cascais this summer, you will be fighting for a little towel space on their beach in the center of town. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're not going to get on the beach. So you have to plan and think, where could I go if I'm staying in Cascais, where I don't feel like I'm fighting just to be able to walk onto the beach?
And you don't, like you say, you don't have to go that far to find a bit of peace, because all of Portugal is coastline pretty much, isn't it?
So that, and then in the summer when you're planning your trips, don't forget to go inland. This is a great time for exploring. There is so much to do in Portugal. Temperatures do get higher, so it'll be hotter. If you're going inland, you have to be aware of that. The Alentejo in the summer can be broiling, so if that is hard for you, you might not want to do that. But you can go up in the mountains. Guarda is amazing. You can go up into the national parks. You can get yourself into places where you have these beautiful wide river beaches where you can spend the day enjoying the water and then exploring. So the summertime is a great time to get into the mountains, into the nature, move yourself inland a bit, and you're going to find it's still going to be busy, but not at the scale of the beaches.
Yeah, well said. Thank you for your guide to summer. Anything else for us?
Well, I think the other thing is just patience. Remember
Yeah.
those people that you love and care for that are working in those restaurants and that are doing
Yes.
all of that. They are swamped, and these people are coming in and pushing them hard for everything, and they need to make their income during the summer. So giving a smile and a wave, being patient, allowing for some space with the folks you support all year round is going to go a long, long way, because it hits them really hard, and they have long days working through this time period. So recognizing that and being a part of their support team and just giving them a smile, and realizing you might not get your favorite table, and they can't do much about that during the summer, will go and help them a lot, because it's intense. Everyone lands in.
Yeah, well said. I mean, it is amazing the hours people work. Our friend Nelson at the Palmeira Cafe here, he does a 6-day week, and he'll be there. He's probably there at 8 in the morning and easily till 8 at night. And this is on the go pretty much all the day, serving people. There are busier times than others, but I mean, it's an incredibly arduous lifestyle. So, as Colleen says there, be helpful and kind and patient, especially in the busiest times of the year. That's brilliant. That's your guide to spending summer in Portugal.